At home, I think we still got some capital market issues. Some banks are still big to fail. I'll go through this quickly and we can go into it in the Q&A, but you probably know this stuff a lot better. We still have an overhang of investment in the energy sector. A lot of investment went into fracking and then oil prices went down. And the question is, will oil prices recover enough to make those investments pay off, or will we have a long-term problem in the high yield market? There's been a potential outflow of finance because of low real interest rates. You know, we depend on finance from foreign countries to keep our economy going because we don't save very much as Americans. But because the returns in the US economy are fairly low, the question is how long are they going to hang around? Right now, we may still be the winner of the beauty contest because everywhere else is having trouble. But if that's not the case in a few years, we may start to lose some of that foreign finance. I also worry that in the next recession, we're somewhat exposed from a policy point of view. You know, we had almost no fiscal support during this most recent downturn, at least the aftermath of it. We had the initial American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, but after that, you know, the Fed kept begging for fiscal policy, and there was none on offer. And the Fed itself hasn't yet recouped much ammunition by raising rates. So the question is, what would we do if we hit another recession, policy-wise? A lot of people were worrying several years ago already about whether any more easing by the Fed would actually have any effect in a market that's already saturated with credit. And I think we have some political uncertainty on trade and immigration. And you know, who shall go unnamed in this presentation obviously has some somewhat heterodox views on trade and immigration. As I said, you got 40 to 50% of S&P 500 revenue from foreign sales. And a lot of that depends on our trade agreements. You also have perhaps 7 or 8 million undocumented migrants with jobs in the US. What would happen if we deported them overnight or even over the course of a year? Well, there are 7.8 million unemployed people in the current population survey, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to match up perfectly to the jobs that would be vacated if all those people got deported. To say nothing of the cost of finding and deporting all those people. So there are some things that could supply economic headwinds if we were to disrupt our trading relationships and our use of migrant labor. So bottom line, I think we are seeing a recovery in commodity markets, including the energy markets, but that will depend long-term on whether countries like China return to stronger growth. As I said, they're very important, especially in the short term, in boosting these markets. Construction is probably facing some weakness in the future because of this change in household formation. Healthcare looks like it's going to stay strong, and I think most forecasters would agree with that. And if I had to pick out of the ones that we've discussed, these 3 countries are probably the ones that have the best potential for accelerating growth for the reasons that we already discussed. And I'll be happy to discuss that more. My hope is that the US will have an uncomplicated few years to continue winning the beauty contest so we can have a good measure of economic stability. Some people would associate that with political gridlock. But we'll see what we get in November. If anything, if we can just stay stable, then I think we'll continue to receive investment.